Hey everybody, what's going on? So today I wanted to talk about an older movie that actually, it kind of resonates with today's society and the way we're going. It's kind of funny that they seen things like this back in 1981 and the possible destruction of America with the rise of like a PC culture with wars and everything else. So the movie we're talking about today is Escape from New York, a 1981 dystopian scientific action fiction film. So the producer was Deborah Hill, and it was written and directed by John Carpenter. It starred Kurt Russell as the protagonist Snake Plissken, Ernest Borgnine as Cabby, Lee Van Cleef as Houck, Isaac Hayes as a Duke of New York, number one, Adrienne Barbeau as Maggie, Donald Pleasance as the president, and Harry Dean Stanton as Brain. Also, Deborah Hill, she did computer voices that are actually heard in the movie. But what most people don't know is that Jamie Lee Curtis also does computer voices in there. Just a little bit of side note history on the movie. So the movie is basically set around the year 1997, and a major war between the U.S. and the Soviet Union is concluding. And the entire island of Manhattan has been converted into a giant maximum security prison. Now the entire island is surrounded by not only fencing and walls, the bridges leading out of Manhattan have been mined. So there is no escape for the people that are sent there. As they say, once you go in, do not come out. So what happens is Air Force One is hijacked and it crashes onto the island, and the president is taken hostage. And what they don't know is he has a tape on him for nuclear fission or fusion, and it's supposed to be taken to the summit to try to restore peace between the United States and Russia. Nobody knows that except for the forces to be that are running the island. Snake Plissken, a former Special Forces soldier turned criminal, winds up being recruited by Houck, the commissioner of the United States Police Force stationed at the Liberty Island Security Control. So in order to ensure that Snake Plissken carries out this task, Houck has him injected with 2 microscopic capsules on either side of his neck. Now the capsules were supposed to dissolve after a 24-hour period, and once that time elapsed, the small explosives in the capsules would just go off and they would destroy his capillaries inside of his neck, and he would basically bleed to death. So the way it worked is 15 minutes before the capsules were to explode, this medical staff would be able to use x-rays to nullify the charges, thus saving his life. Now his job is to get onto the island covertly. They send him in using a glider, and then he has to find the president, retrieve the president, but more importantly, at all costs, he must bring this tape back because it is the future of America, as they claim. That is where the story begins. And of course, as any of these type of movies, they take all kinds of twists and turns. And Isaac Hayes, who plays the Duke of New York, number one, he plays a major part in it, and he is the main baddie. He is the guy controlling the inmates on the island. He is the one that has taken the president, and he plans on marching them across the bridge on his way to freedom. And Snake is there to get the president and the tape especially out by any means necessary. It kind of like lends a little bit of nodding to we go through now with the PC culture where, you know, you have people on the left that want to control the narrative and they want to suppress people's ability to speak and everything else. And I'm sure that they would love to just have people locked up in a big maximum security prison just like this. And it's just kind of funny that things like this kind of like nod at, you know, future events. And it's funny that even back then, everybody had doom and gloom, and there were so many movies about apocalyptic futures and how horrible it was going to be because everything looked like it was going in that direction. Because at the time, you had the rise of that PC culture who was starting. Now, granted, they didn't actually get into full swing until like 1984, 85. I forget exactly offhand, but 84, 85 when the PMRC really started their nonsense. But it was already brewing before then. Like I've said before, these type of things always come in waves. And I guess they really thought at the time, at least John Carpenter thought at the time that, you know, this is a possibility that could happen. And as usual, nobody pays attention and nobody sees these type of things coming back or starting again or getting as out of control as it has been today. But it's just one of those timeless movies, and it gives you a look at how people even thought back then what the future could be like, what the possibilities were. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, I really suggest watching it. Go check it out. And I will talk to you all again later.